Welcome to the Combo Wombo. It is myself, Mr. Gimpy, and to the left of me, Chipped Monk. What's up, brother?
What's up, bro?
How's it going? Nothing, man. It's going great. It's going better than great, actually.
Dude, that pressure, dude.
It's very hard, especially when I'm
start getting into a rhythm with it.
Right. I get that. Next time you're doing it for sure, because I feel like I messed it up.
No, man, that's how you get better. You got practice.
You just got to keep doing it. That's true. That's true.
Through.
That's right.
We could do another take. You want another shot at it?
I mean, I'm already recording, but let's just pause. Yeah. We'll pause. We'll pause.
You don't need a pause, dude. Just keep going, dude.
There it is.
No pause. This is live, bro.
All right. Welcome to the Combo Wombo. It's me, Mr. Gimpy, and Chipmunk to the left of me, and we're here to blow your goddamn minds. All right. Boom. There it is. That's it. That's the one.
Welcome.
Yep. It's Valentine's Day right now at the time of recording, so something's getting blown. It's at least going to be your mind.
Year.
Right, next 2022 is when this will release. So I'm excited today, man. I got the Fatal Fury hat. You guys saw the Mortal Kombat hat a few pods ago. I got the Fatal Fury cup. Terry Bogard, are you okay? Busta Wolf.
This is the one where it's like, hey, come on.
That's his intro. That's when he comes out and he just beckons you. Behind me that you don't see on camera, I actually have a Geese Howard picture. It's of a goose wearing his outfit, Goose Howard. Fighting games, my favorite genres are FPS and fighters, and they fight for the number one spot like daily. So this is a pod that if it wasn't happening, it was just going to happen organically at some point because of just my past in fighters.
Be a man rambling on the streets about fighting games.
I'm already that man, dude. You have no idea. So
I saw that Evo, I believe this year, they had brought back Killer Instinct. We were talking about last week, I think, a bit. And because their netcode was so tight, so the studio that originally worked on it, they're like, basically Microsoft was like, what do we have in our library that we can put in? And they're like, oh, we got Killer Instinct. We need a fighting game to throw in with our games as a service model. They found they just started taking out bids. They're like, hey, who has a proposal for us? I think the people who worked on like Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Yes.
They did a great job. So good, in fact, they got bought up by Amazon. Another topic we always kind of talk about, where Amazon keeps on buying up studios and shit, and they keep on not making games. It's weird.
It's the weirdest thing.
Are they doing mobile releases or something? Is it just like in a space we're not aware of?
No. They have everything tied up in two games, New World and that game that we were talking about a couple weeks ago that none of us could remember the title of, the weird MOBA hybrid.
Failed right away.
So it starts with the C, I believe, whatever it's called. It's going to be a bit on the pod as well. I'm never going to look that game up. Whenever we bring it up, it's just whatever it is. Yeah,
it might be huge. It's probably the next big thing. Who knows? They're like, we're putting hundreds of millions of dollars in research, buying up tens of studios to work on this thing.
True.
So then it got handed off to Iron Galaxy, and Iron Galaxy took over Killer Instinct, and it was such a new concept, like the free-to-play model fighting genre, and people were like, oh, is this a ripoff? Because I think it was right around the same time that Street Fighter just came back out, and they had content on the disc that you had to pay for as DLC.
Street Fighter Cross Tekken was that game. Yeah, go on.
Yeah. And I don't know if the time periods are exact, but I think it's like right around that time where people are like, is this going to be another Cross Tekken fiasco?
It's about a year and a half, 2 year gap. Yeah, but you're right. That is the worry.
And then people were like, no, man, like it's Killer Instinct. This is going to be great. The people, the higher ups, like this was their thinking. They didn't do the best marketing and messaging, but they're like, we're going to put out this game. And it's going to be cheaper this way because most people only want to main one or two characters. And it's going to cost them $20-$30, and they're going to get all the kit, all the like cosmetics. They're going to look dope, and they're going to be stunning on their competition. They're going to be playing their main, and they're going to have exposure to all the other different characters. And we'll have free to play weeks, so they can be like, hey, try out all these other guys that we're working on, and we can have like seasonal rollouts of different characters and stuff. And this will help keep the game balanced. It didn't quite keep the game balanced. They still kind of ran into feature creep of the new guy, the new bright and shiny guy. I think we just saw this with Tekken. Was it like, what was the new guy with the dreadlocks?
Leroy, I believe.
Leroy.
Yeah,
coming out, dominating.
He got nerfed pretty hard. Fukuram
like 4
is
times.
yeah. Fukuram right now, even like I guess in tournament scene is pretty dominant. So at the time of recording, he came out right after Leroy and just wiped the floor with every other character as far as tiers go. So they'll balance it, but that's when you get a new character in any game, you're going to run into that issue. I think that as like a growing public, if we go back to the arcade era when you had a revision and a new character came out, you had to learn the new characters, and if they were broken, you get another revision. But you're on a great track, man. Keep going. I love it.
Yeah, no. So like kind of going back to your thesis, like where I'm like, I wonder how much of it is like the designers putting down an over, or is this character balanced against everybody else except nobody's seen it before, so they don't know how to play against it. So it feels like they're being cheesed a bit. Where it's like whatever it is, like the 5-minute mile, where it's like, oh, it's impossible, then somebody does it. Yep. I think it could be like one of those things where it's like this person's really good at this character. I know people like the experts break down by like the frames, by like the damage output. They're like, well, if you look on like a spreadsheet, it's already busted. But I don't know, like they might be right. And I think this creeps into a lot of like DLC model games where like the new guy comes out super powerful, so you have to buy it to be competitive. You see it a lot in like trading card games. You see it like any mobile game out there right now where it's like, oh, the new hero is going to be super ridiculous. You see it in League of Legends all the time. I think they just did the same thing with their new champion where he has like 3 different champion powers or whatever, and everyone's like, he's so busted. He's picked in 90% of all games played. Type of thing.
You have new character like it's new now, so that's what you're after though. When League, I feel, and in fighting games, it's the same thing. New character comes out, everyone and their mom's going to try the new character. So
can you say your mama?
Yeah, your mama.
Everyone and their mama.
Right. Like it. So I think that just being a new character, no matter what, it's going to be like the most picked until the meta like kind of gets established and people go back to their mains or switch or whatever. And so speaking of Killer Instinct, you're right. People were nervous about that game coming out, thinking it was going to be a huge ripoff. It turns out it wasn't. It's probably one of the best values that you can get. It had what I want to say is the launch, as far as the technical side of it, that every studio strives for. To this day, it has the best net play of any fighter. Especially with Iron Galaxy's tweaks and stuff, what they were able to accomplish with rollback netcode on a AAA platform is so incredible. It makes me sick playing other fighting games without that level of rollback. The best thing SNK did this past year was look at their own products, which are fucking amazing. We got King of Fighters 14, super fun. People like crapped all over the graphics, but the gameplay was so solid. Samurai Showdown, the reboot / re-release, or not re-release, it's kind of a reboot, it's not, but anyway, came out.
The Hollywood approach.
Fantastic game. Uses delay-based netcode. SNK looked at themselves and did something that I believe every Japanese studio needs to do and go, our netcode sucks. Let's do rollback. Let's get out of our own head and get out of our own island, because they never had an issue with online because they all live on this small area where they can all play against each other, or they'll go to arcades. Yeah. So when those games come over to the States or Europe, Australia especially, and the netcode sucks, that game is just gonna die. Because unless you have a local community, that game's done. And I think the biggest offender of horrible netcode is Nintendo. Fighting game players have like a love-hate relationship with Smash. I personally will play it casually. I don't have like the hate that a lot of the FGC does for the Smash community.
I've heard that if you get rid of tournament play of Smash and Yu-Gi-Oh cards, you get rid of 90% of all the problems in esports. Like you just ban those two things.
Right,
like,
right.
We have to have weird rules of like you have to have a bath before a game. Did somebody like throw like a fish at somebody at one of these things, like a crab, like a live crab? Like
that's hilarious. I have not heard that.
Yeah.
At least not on the FGC side. That's hilarious. The bath thing I will touch on when we talk about competitive parts because that's true. And there's a stereotype for a reason on some things. And the Smash community, I don't know if it's like the mean age of that community, but there's definitely some hygiene issues. I'll do like a top 3 tier list of hygiene per FGC community.
They're literally the sweaty basement dwellers. Like what's come 100%. Out to play Smash, dude.
100%.
But the game's solid.
Yeah. It's definitely a solid game. People are all like, it's a party fighter.
This, sorry to get off here, but
yeah,
I was thinking about this earlier today. Shower thoughts, if you will.
Yep.
What do you consider a fighting game? Is it, because for me, as I was sitting there thinking, I think of a one-on-one competitive match. And I feel like Smash, 4 people, man. I feel like you break, like anytime, because I was thinking about like the evolution of the genre.
Yep.
And like in the early 90s, kind of like we're touching on a little bit, there's like one-to-one arcade beat 'em ups.
Yep.
And beat 'em up, not to use it in the genre type where you're a side-scrolling fighter like Double Dragons or whatever. I'm talking about like, 2 guys rock 'em, sock 'em, and roboting it out. But then like in the aughts, as soon as we got like the 4-player console games, you had almost like a next step where it's like a party game where it was like you had to compete against other people, but also like there was wacky shit thrown in there for flavor. Or like a gumbo. They're like, we're gonna throw a little spice in it. You're gonna have to fight 3 of your buddies, but also like every once in a while we're gonna throw like a taser,
bomb on the map.
a handgun, or like, and then like that kind of like evolved to like Smash, where kind of it took all those different like elements and like codified it into a fighting like side platform thing, where it's like you had to have a little bit more awareness than like a fun breezy arcade game. But do you consider 4-player fighting games, or is it something different?
It's typical. Those are. I'll answer
Smash Bros. The battle royale of fighting games.
No, Smash Bros. Is the definitive platform fighter, which I believe the hardcore people will say that Rivals of Aether is the better like balanced game. But obviously, if you're not playing Smash and you're a platform fighter, you're basically non-relevant. Unfortunately, I think that Smash did bring birth to the genre of platform fighter, where it's basically if you remember like the versus modes in beat 'em ups, like Guardian Heroes, the end of Double Dragon when you had to fight your brother for the girl, Dynamite Cop. It's basically the evolution of that, because the term platform fighter says it right there. It's like a platformer with like just fighting moves. It lacks the execution of a traditional fighting game, so I would say, just in the broader sense, I think it does have a place in the fighting community, but I think that it's definitely a separate like subgenre on its own. It's kind of like if you take Tetris versus like a match 3 game. They're both, or like a color match 3 game. They're both puzzle games, but I think they're 2 separate sides of the same coin. You know what I mean?
I would say like that's like saying that. I think it would be like a shootout in soccer or baseball. Like if you're going for like Grand Slam like tournament where like it's just a pitcher throwing a ball against like a batter. I think there's a difference between like a one-on-one competition and then like when you bring in like a team of people, and even if they're all competing against each other, like I don't know, man. It feels like there's difference there. Like
I will say, I'll say this about Smash. Traditional, like overall, it's a platform fighter. It's more of a party game, and I'm probably gonna get hate in comments, but let me clarify. But if you take Smash, Smash competitively,
take a shower.
if you play Smash competitively, then it's a fighter because you play 1-on-1 The execution, like, just room for error is very small. There's definitely a lot of skill that goes into professional Smash play. I have a buddy, Sir Trick. So I've done traditional fighting games competitively. Done Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat, a little bit of Tekken. Let's see. I tried out BlazBlue, never took it to a tournament or whatever, but actually no, I did do one BlazBlue tournament. So, traditional fighters like that. And it typically gets to a very high tier versus all of my friends. And I played Smash Melee, and I learned how to wave dash, learned how to do that. That was fun, but I just never really. I don't like playing like Final Destination, no items, Fox only. That's the boringest thing I could ever do. I'd rather play it as like a full party fighter. But I have one buddy who is exceptionally good at platform fighters. Like, so good to the point where if I'm playing him, I am gonna train my ass off to get used to countering his stuff. So as a one-on-one game, Smash belongs. Smash definitely belongs.
See, I feel like do you remember the first game you and I played, the fighting game?
100%. The very first game fighter I ever played was Mortal Kombat 2.
No, with you and me. When we
it was me, you and I. Was that MK or was that
Marvel vs.
like
Capcom
MK9?
2.
Was it Marvel vs. Capcom 2? Okay, yeah.
And like, I think you didn't know that like me and the Professor are like we're okay. We're not great. We're not bad.
Mm-hmm.
I would say we're some couch potatoes who have played a lot of MV. So like you come in and you're like, oh, you guys have played some we're like, yeah, man, sit down. And then like I think you're like kind of going easy on us, like you're kind of like assessing the situation.
Yeah.
And so like we're kind of taking turns, like the winner keeps passing the joysticks, and like also like I think like I beat you, then the Professor beats you, then I beat you again, and you're like, okay, like you and like I don't think we like won another game like in the next like 20 matches.
Yeah.
You're like
I will put some light onto that. So, like I said, fighting games are my favorite genre. MVC2 is definitely top 3 game of all time. So growing up, Marvel Superheroes versus Street Fighter was like my versus game. I owned it on the PlayStation, played it all the time, and then whenever I went to the arcade, I played X-Men versus Street Fighter all the goddamn time. I went a long time, and this is the early 2000s when fighting games were on a decline. Me being at a certain skill level, I didn't have any local competition. So high school rolls around, and I meet our mutual friend Sir Solace, Julian, and the second one of the halves of Danger Kings. We play Marvel vs. Capcom 2. He wipes the floor with me. He just uses Psylocke and 100%s me, and I couldn't do anything. I was like, I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, I'm good at fighting games and this doesn't happen to me, you know? So he lets me borrow the game and borrow the Dreamcast. Hi. All right.
Hello.
We're just going to have a special guest. All right. You got to be quiet.
Reminiscing about fighting games, child. Sit around.
All right. So everybody, this is my daughter, Charlie. She just woke up. All right. So sorry, Pod. Just be quiet, okay? The daddy's talking. All right, so I take the game, I go back, I lab for probably 2 days. I come back, and keep in mind I played a lot of Marvel Superheroes versus Street Fighter, played a lot of MVC1, and I destroy Sir Solus. It's to the point where I learned an Infinite for Spider-Man and did that on him, and he was just like, what the fuck, dude? He's like, how did you, what? I love fighting games, man. And if you beat me at a fighting game, there is no lengths that I will go to like go back, lab, and win. It's like that's why I say fighters and FPSs are my favorite, because it gives me that competitive fire, and it's what I crave, especially after having kids and stuff. And the reason why I got like so good at like fighting games and FPSs was like back in, like, I want to say 4th grade. I I sprained my knee and broke my right pinky, and they had to use hold my ring finger with my pinky so it doesn't bend or anything else, and then so they put a cast on the whole thing. And I couldn't play anything for a long time, but my uncle takes me to the arcade. This hand's free, and the buttons were big enough where I could just take the whole cast and like smash on the keys. So I did that, and lo and behold, like when I get the cast off and actually I can use my fingers now, I'm killing kids in the arcade. I shared this story on Reddit, but my very first competitive fighting game experience was I was in elementary school. Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3 just came out. My uncle comes up to the school and goes, Gimpy has he calls me Gimpy, of course. Yeah, no, I'll use my name. He says Scott has a doctor's appointment. I gotta go take him to it. Keep in mind, my sister goes to the same school. He's like, no, I don't need her. We're just gonna take Scott. So we go to the arcade. The new game's out. There's a line. We get there, and that was big Sub-Zero guys. So Sub-Zero is the only ninja character that was in Mortal Kombat 3. Ultimate comes out. Scorpion's back. Reptile's back. It's like the greatest hits of MK. And so we're all playing.
Start throwing everybody in there. They start collabing all the names.
Yep. So we get there, and my uncle has a line, and he's just destroying. And I'm just sitting there watching. I'm just itching to play. And some guy comes up, looks like this high school kid who obviously skipped. And keep in mind, this is the 90s, so he had like a surge and like a backwards cap, and he was 90s cool, an Offspring or a Bad Religion t-shirt. And so he puts his soda on top of the arcade and goes, hey, let somebody else get a try. And he's like, all right, you can play against my nephew. I come up, I pick Sub-Zero. Flawless victory. I'm like, okay. He's like, what the hell? Have you ever played this game? I was like, nah. Second game, flawless victory, and I just mash the block run, which is like the Sub-Zero fatality that everyone learns first in Mortal Kombat 3. It works in Ultimate because it was just like basically an expansion, and I did the fatality. I was the first one in the arcade to do a fatality, and the whole room just went, oh! Like there is no bigger endorphin rush than 10 to 40 people and higher just getting hype off of something you did. And it's like if you played sports or anything else and you made like a really good play, if you're doing like a comedy and you kill a room, just things like that where you have all the attention is at this one point and you had a shared experience. So then I get a line. So my uncle and I are switching off, running through, and we let people just decide who they wanted to challenge. So then this dude, this is the very first time I won money playing games. This dude, boom, puts money on top of the arcade machine, goes, I'll beat you with whoever. It's like, okay, beat him. Next, money keeps getting added. After keep in mind I'm a kid, so like the time frame is just gone for me. But I feel like after 40 hours, after like 4 hours, or it was definitely like the length of a school day. Some guy comes up and goes, "Can I just want to play against my friend? You guys are beating all of us. Can we play together?" I was like, "No, that's fine." So we take our winnings. My uncle looks at it. He goes, "We have like $80 here." So he goes, "You know what?" He's like, "Half of this is yours." I was like, all right. So we go to, at the time, Funko Land, if anyone in the Midwest remembers that game store that GameStop bought up. Yeah. Yep. We went to Funko Land, and I bought Earthworm Jim for the Sega Genesis, and that was my prize.
They used to have the newsprint with all the prices on it, if you remember Funko Land.
Yep.
Just like a newspaper, like...
You and you have the price of games.
Like a phone book. Like,
yeah.
If you remember phone books.
Yep. So that's the first time I ever...
Google search, but on paper.
It's called a newspaper, boomer. No. So yeah, that was the first time I ever took anything competitively and got that like fire for it. And like I said, like fighting games bring out the competitiveness in me. And like growing up, my uncle was the best Mortal Kombat player. He was really good at arcades as well, so I knew it wasn't just I'm a kid and he's older and he's just better than me at it. No, he was really, really good. So, like, growing up, I never stopped playing Mortal Kombat 3, ever. So I continually played it, and then when I hit teenage years, it had a re-release, and and we played, and for the first time I beat my uncle in Mortal Kombat, and he's like, "You've been practicing this whole time?" I was like, "You have no idea." So with Sir Solace beating me like infinite me, or like, you know, just wiped the floor with me with one character in MVC. There's no way that's happening.
I think the only game, like, I kind of started out, the first fighting game proper I played was Mortal Kombat 1, and that was in the arcade.
Yep.
I put a good amount of money in it, probably like, you know, over the course of the time frame that I had access to that machine, there's probably like $200-$300 like in quarters I've probably put into it.
Yep.
But there was nobody there because it was like at a bar, so there's like nobody there trying to play Mortal Kombat with some punk kid, neighborhood kid.
Was it by you?
So the only thing I could do was like beat the story mode, which is insanely hard.
Insanely hard, yeah.
And I would use Raid, and that was kind of who I'd mess with. And I don't know. From there, I went on to I think SoulCalibur 2 was like the next game I got like really good at.
Okay. Wow, that's a huge gap. He was like, so it's like,
I don't know, I touched like the other games, but like none of them like reached like my heart and soul, if you will. You know, I played like your Street Fighters, your Turbos, or I played Mortal Kombat 2 and 3. I had Ultimate on. Did it come out on Sega Saturn?
Yep.
I think my older brother had that for Sega Saturn, I want to say. So I played it there for a bit, which I hear is probably the better edition of the game, but whatever.
No, it was a launch title on the Sony PlayStation. So it might have been the PlayStation version, because it came out on the Genesis for sure. Super Nintendo. I think it was exclusive to the PlayStation, actually. If there was a Saturn release, it came out like a year later. But I mean, it could be. I can't remember off the top of my head.
We'll have to look it up at some point, but I'm not going to.
Yeah.
I like the myth. There's probably, like you're saying, probably PlayStation or whatever. From there, like I would say, like I got good at, though. Like I dedicated the time to from like, it was like Mortal Kombat 1. Then the next game I like really became a student of the game was SoulCalibur 2. Yeah. And I got like stupid good. Like there was like nothing to do. It was like one of those summers where there's nothing going on. And like I just sat up sweaty in my mom's attic, just playing SoulCalibur 2 to like an insane degree, like where I was like, that was the game I had, and like it just had that replayability, and I like mastered like every character in there, knew all their movesets, all this stuff, and I don't know. The only time I played against other human beings was like their first time playing the game. We're all at the party, like drinking, and I was just like, "Oh, SoulCalibur 2, cool guys, enjoy." And they're like, "Oh, you don't want to play it?" I was like, "No, I'm really good at this game." And they're like, "No, man." And I'm like, "No, I'm serious. Like I'm like super good at this game. Like this is like I play this game way too, like, you know, they just think like you're like, oh, you're drunk, you're humble bragging."
Right.
No, boys, like I'm seriously good at this game. Like, and there's like it's like a 30-person deep party going on, and like you know, there's like kind of like a tournament like thing going on, like, and I was like, I will beat everybody in here for any amount of money. That's how confident I am. And I will do it with one hand. And they're like, "Come on, bro, really?" I was like, "Dude, I'm that good. Like, I don't want to play. I will ruin this game for you guys." And they're like, "Oh, you got to do it now, dude." You're like, you're hyping it. And I was like, all right. So I'm like sitting there with like one hand, and I'm like talking to people, and I'm just like destroyed. Like, they're not touching me. Like, I'm perfecting, like, because there's people who've never played this game before. And like, I got to the point where like, there's nothing they could do, like any strategy. So I'm like, I'm going through and like I'm juggling them. Like you could do like infinite juggles of people in that game, but there's nothing they can do. And I was like just hitting random. I was like, give me a random character. I don't care. Like, and I was like destroying people with like any character. And it got to the point where like we don't even want to play this fucking game anymore. This is bullshit. Like everybody quit the game. Like, and I was like, that felt good.
It felt good.
But also like the emptiness, where it's like you. Like Alexander the Great conquering the known world and like weeping when he reaches the ocean.
That is the double-edged sword of being the best at a game in your group of friends, where no one matches you for like that, or they want to stop playing and you never play that game again. You know, it's
or you just get
great,
bored of beating everybody. Like I had that same thing for chess. Like I picked up chess early on.
Yep.
I don't know, like something just clicked with me where I was like, oh, this makes sense. Like I learned it in like half an hour, like from some guy teaching me, like at a bar.
Yeah.
The same bar where I was learning Mortal Kombat. He's like, oh, you might want to play chess. And I was like, yeah, all right. And he like showed me like how all the pieces move. And he's like, and that's how you play chess. And I was like, all right, let's play. And like by like the 5th game, I was like giving him like some competition.
Nice.
By like the 15th game, I was like beating people at the bar. And this is like 3rd grade, 2nd grade.
Yeah.
It's super young. And then so like I go into like 5th grade, I think is like when everybody else like in my school started picking up chess.
Yeah, same.
Like, oh, let's play chess. And I was like, all right, yeah. And I just started beating everybody like before like the class would start. But that gets boring where I was just starting to let people win or like giving them tips as I'm
giving them
like, you could do this or that. Like I had a couple of moves. Like
you have to elevate your the competition around you so you can get better.
Give them tips and tricks.
That's funny you mentioned chess. I absolutely love chess, and the same thing that with fighters happened to me in chess where I had no competition. I ended up playing my dad, and my dad was stupid good at chess, and I had no idea. One day we got to a stalemate. I think it was 3 games in a row we got to a stalemate. He's like, "You're getting too close. We're never playing again." To this day, we haven't played again. That's all right.
Practicing, man. He's got the apps. He's like,
right. He's got the move apps or whatever.
Enough, like the professor decided he was going to pick up some chess at one point.
Yeah.
He had like the app on his phone, and I was like, oh, you're playing chess, huh? And like, I don't think he knows. Like, I was in a chess club, like in junior high. Like, like I don't know. Like, I wasn't like competitive or anything, but I like played enough where I was like, I understand like where you are about to like, you just have to study at a certain point.
Yeah.
And like I'm looking over like the professor's shoulder, and like he makes like 2 moves, and it's like, oh, you're about to be checkmated in 8 moves. He's using a very basic gambit to like do the 7-move checkmate here. You're getting trolled by this 12-year-old. He's like, what? And I'm like, yeah, there's no way you can stop it now. You've already messed up.
You already messed up.
Like,
yeah.
He's like, huh? And then like a couple seconds later, he's like, shit, you checkmated me. And I was like, that'll happen.
That's awesome. Yeah. Damn, chess is probably the greatest board game ever, right? Like from a competitive standpoint, and you are always learning it. You are always studying it. I wasn't a part of a chess club. I really liked it, but like, you know, there's like this social construct with being in a chess club or whatever that I was like, I was too much in the crowd to like join one when I was younger, you know. But all the chess club kids, I always played against them, you know. I'm like yeah, whatever. It's like, what were you doing? Oh yeah, I was playing basketball, but fuck that, let's play chess. You heard? All right, so I mean, always loved it, but we should probably play some chess at one point. I haven't played it in a while. I'd probably suck, but I'd get my ass handed to me.
Like since like they left that junior high club, like probably like 14, 15 years old. I was like, I haven't really touched the game since, dude.
Yeah, what reignited my interest was actually probably 3 years ago. I'm walking downtown, and they have like these giant chess pieces, like just on the sidewalk, and whoever can play. I was just messing around and just like moving it, and this old guy comes up with like a cane or whatever. He walks up and goes, "Hey, Sonny, you want to play?" I was like, "Okay." He just destroyed me, but he was giving me tips, man. This dude was nuts, and he was all like, "Yeah, I'm this elo," and I didn't realize if it was a high elo or not. I looked, and this dude, like for the state of Minnesota, was like top 10. I was like, damn, this dude. I was like, this dude just walks around like the old kung fu master, and just, you know, looking at people. He's goddamn Pai Meiing it.
I would say like. There's a lot of common with like fighting games and chess where it's like a lot of strategic thinking, a lot of like moves. Like in certain games, I know like Tekken is like no, not the kind of that same era Virtual Fighter where it's like you put in inputs almost like you program in your moves before you're gonna do it. So you could like program in like a move set, and then like you're hoping like 2 or 3 moves ahead of like your competition in like Virtual Fighter, and that game is so different from any other fighter, dude. Like,
okay, yeah, no. Virtua Fighter 5 was another game that I took competitively. If you look
I'm thinking Virtual Fighter 2, bro. I'm going.
Yeah. No, I get it.
Arcade, the roller rink, skating around, enjoying life, and you find like a little token or whatever. You're like, let's get it on, boys. You're trying to play this game, and it's like, you're like, I've played Mortal Kombat, I've played Street Fighter, like I kind of get it. You're like, what the fuck is this? Like I'm hitting the button combos that it says do things on the little, kiosk, the marquee, and it does nothing. I'm like, and it's like, no, that's not how you play this game.
Virtua Fighter is probably the most technical 3D fighter you can play. I will say, like, execution wise, it has the strictest timing, and it's my favorite 3D fighter. Tekken is right up there. Tekken focuses a lot on juggles and really long strings and stuff, and a lot of the moves are a little more fantastical than like VF5 is, or Virtua Fighter in general. Virtua Fighter is a little more based in reality. Both are incredibly high skill ceilings, and really like easy to get into. But if you play against pros on every level, there's no chance in hell. But the last tournament I went to was Combo Breaker 2019, and I participated in the Virtua Fighter 5 side tournament.
Can we get the combo?
Combo, yeah, for sure. And so a little backstory for me on Virtua Fighter 5. When it came out for Xbox.
Wait, 1 second. Mm-hmm. Did you ever play Lock Killer Instinct?
Yep.
Okay.
I'll get to it.
I think I played it for, where did it come out on Sega?
Super Nintendo.
Nintendo?
Yep. It was licensed from
wasn't
Nintendo.
there a bootleg like BioFreaks or something for Sega? Like maybe that's PlayStation.
I think BioFreaks
it all kind of bleeds together. Like when you have like way older brothers and like 90s era, like man. I think we borrowed it for like a week or like rented it out.
Mm-hmm.
And like we're like, what is this game? It felt like a bootleg Mortal Kombat for me. I don't know. Maybe it's because I already had the affinity.
It's how you play it. Yeah. Killer Instinct was focused on really long combos and then the breaker system.
I think I was just too young to understand. Like it was like taking a lot of high tier systems and putting them together from like different genres where it's like, oh no, this is about like countering combos and then like entering into a combo stance. And like it's a lot of timing in it, but
it's a very technical. It's a very technical fighter.
Killer in Combo Breaker 2019.
Yep. So I
eating French fries, looking around, have a hat with the beer cans on it.
Yep. So the tournaments I signed up for were Mortal Kombat 11, the Virtua Fighter 5 side tournament, and I was there super hyped for the Samurai Showdown, like kind of early play test there before the new one came out. So I joined the VF5 room, and I haven't played it in a while, just because it's one of those things where local competition wasn't there, and the online mode kind of just died off. So it's just like killers that are there. My character's Brad Burns, and I got really good at that game to the point where if you look on the Xbox Live leaderboards, I'm pretty sure it's still like top 20, but at one point for my character for like clearing the arcade mode, I was third in the world. So, played a ton. And then as far as like online wins, when I was playing it actively, I was like top 20, up to, I think I got to like the top 10 at one point, but it's just you just have to keep playing it. Definitely did some tournaments for it when it was active and won a few. So I was confident. I jump in and these guys have like never stopped playing the game. And some of them were previous like Evo champs and like tournament winners. And, I got just destroyed. It was humbling, but it was like the best experience because I'm like I didn't feel I definitely got beat, but I didn't get outclassed. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's like you were saying, where it's like at a certain point you get to a level where it's like you can only like net play so much different than like that latency like in person. And then like you can only get that level of competition in person, and like nobody has that friend group, right? Locally, like you said, it's like you have to go to the arcade or something. You have to go to these tournaments to actually experience it. Like I don't know. I sent you that clip where the guy's like putting up money and he's like crying that he lost the money. And they're like, "What happened?" He's like, "I just wanted to play against real people. I want to play against like the best, and we don't have that." It's like, "You crying because you lost the money?" Like, "Yeah, dude, I did well lose my money." It's like, what do you think was gonna happen? Dude, you come into like a a lion's den with like a piece of meat, dude. Like you're gonna get eaten alive. Like,
yep. It's the best.
But yeah, like you said, it's like you're like a lion entering into another lion's den where you're like kind of like getting pitter pattered around a bit, and you're like, okay, I didn't get outclassed here, and like that's a good feeling to have. Where it's like if I could spend some time with these guys, I could probably be more competitive with them, and but that's the only way to get that experience. It's like go find these guys, dude. Like
Yep. Very true. So let's go back to Killer Instinct here. So you're right. It came out on Xbox as a launch title, had the free-to-play aspect. Really solid fighting game, really die-hard community around it. And the reason why I bring up Combo Breaker 2019 is because it is the premier Killer Instinct tournament. I wasn't playing Killer Instinct, competitively at all. I loved the game, so when that was on the main stage, I made sure to book it to the to the event room and watch it live. That game at high level is so it's ballet, dude. It is so artful. The breakers, just the setups that you recognize as like a casual player, that these pros also recognize and are countering back and forth. Man, it is so incredible, so much fun to watch. And these people with the it's like their finishers. It's like if you're familiar with the series, you get like a finisher that's it's basically a brutality in Mortal Kombat, but like an ultra. If you remember the ultra thing, and these guys will always reset it, so you're doing like 3 ultras in one, so it just goes on forever. Yeah, it's kind of like I feel. I'm pretty sure that community, if it was a really good match, they won't do the disrespect. They'll just leave it at that ultra and just leave it at that if it was super close.
It's a on the stage too. I feel like when they get towards the finals, they'll do it just for the hype.
It's the same thing with Mortal Kombat. You don't do a fatality on the winning match if you're on the main stage. Most people won't. So it's one of those in-game respect kind of a thing. Definitely disrespect happens, and that's when you're in any combat game or sport even.
Yeah, I feel like there's a huge psychological element to it because I've been watching some League of Legends talk where they're we have some of the most they have some of the most toxic community.
Yep.
But I think because I was watching I feel like any of this stuff, and I'll wrap it back around to fighting games here, but
yes,
at the high level, there's I was watching strategies on how to win in League of Legends.
Yep.
And one of the strategies a high level person was doing was just talk smack. Look at the match histories of everyone you're playing against, find somebody who's already on tilt, on a losing streak, and just target them and just start talking smack to them. Keep it appropriate, nothing too crazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
But just hey, what were you thinking there? Why would you do this play? It looks like you died again. This kind of stuff. It's send them on tilt so that they're down a player, basically, where you want them to rage quit. But I feel like those kind of strategy guides or people giving you tips and tricks. In our arcade section didn't really have we didn't understand E-frames and stuff in America. And in Japan, I feel why they have such high level fighting communities. They had magazines Capcom as SNK, they were putting out magazines and player guides on how to play. I remember I forgot who it was, but it was a high level player. They went to Japan for the first time, and he was getting his beat by a store clerk there. He's what is happening? This doesn't make sense. Some old dude man in the shop just joined this and beat me the brakes off me. There wasn't a lot of that here until recently, where translations and stuff start coming out, even in chess, where it's basically you're the chess club is just reading strategy guides all day long. It's not fun. It's okay, let's read these different strategies, and then we're gonna play against each other to practice them and see how we can apply it to what happens. We didn't have that for our fighting game scene here. We don't even have arcades. So it's not like they have in Japan, where it's you sit down and it's
next to you and
banks of them, whereas here is you might find 1 or 2 stand-up arcade machines where so I feel America's probably 10 years behind but
in terms of skill, you think? Or
for now.
I think online play has definitely, and just the fact that the internet exists has helped bridge the gap more. But you're right. I think the East definitely has an advantage from just level of play. There's a Street Fighter player in comments. Please fill in who that is. I can't remember, but very famous for actually moving to Japan just to raise his skill up. Because he's like, I need to know, like, I'm here in America and I need to be here, So
like, even like if you build up like your fighting community locally, like there's like these lion dens out there, man. Like, like you see like people in like the Dominican Republic, and like there's like a scene down there. There's like Pakistan has a scene. Like there's just like a lot of small places where it's like hard to get in or out of the country, but they have like those same style of arcade, like Japan. I think it's like the Green Arcade. I think that they shut down, but that was like kind of like the scene. It's just like a wall of trophies where it's like, we have tournaments here, and like these other people who are the names, and like
shout out ATL for the Tekken community down there. They're doing big things. Tekken House, man. Shout out to ATL.
Yeah, man. It's we're coming up on like our scene, and I think even like our high level players, like a lot of people will move to Korea to play like a lot of different esports over there, like to get like the high. There's just like an access to like a higher group of like players that we don't. Again, it's like when you get to the best in your friends group and you're like, well, like, what do I do now? A lot of these guys are moving to like other countries to train over there, man. It's crazy. Like,
for sure. That's
I don't know. I think that's the good thing about like the netcode improving, and like, because like everyone was like, oh, Killer Instinct's kind of like a dead game because they're like, we're done, it's balanced, like all the characters are out for it, and so like everyone's like, oh, it's a dying game, nobody cares about it. And then like they're seeing like a resurgence right now when like a lot of people are moving to, like, even like Smash Bros, they're like I think the GameCube one, there's like people who like rip that apart and like start like building like better netcode for like direct matchmaking. They're starting to do that for other games too, where it's like the latency is crap, like Japan doesn't care about this stuff, and like we have to like reverse engineer like in the fight community, like to play these high level matches against other people to
the fighting community keeps they're so good at keeping their individual games alive, but also the community, like emulation advancements were from the fighting community wanting to play arcade perfect games. Like rollback netcode started from the fighting game community because they were sick of having horribly laggy matches. You're right, it's incredible, and it's in a good space, and these games that people love playing, like rollback and stuff, goes to other genres as well, and improves netcode as well. So the fighting game community is absolutely incredible. Sure, I'm not going to get into any of the toxic stuff that's happened, but let's just speak on the good of it. And it's, as far as keeping their game alive, I can play like Akatsuki Blitzcamp right now, which is a game most people I talk to in real life have never heard of, but I can play it online with somebody in another state or country right now just fine, because the fighting game community just rallied around netcode. It's incredible. I will say this, and we can't have a fighting game discussion without mentioning the granddaddy of them all, the chess to the genre, the OG, the most balanced game.
Championship boxing for the Atari 2600.
Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo.
Oh yeah, man.
The game that made the FGC what it is, the series that single-handedly revived the FGC, Street Fighter themselves. I love Street Fighter as well. Yes, I'm wearing a Fatal Fury hat. Yes, I talked about Mortal Kombat in every other game, but that was by choice. Fighting games don't get to where they were, where they are, where they've been without Street Fighter. Capcom in the 90s has had such an influence on everything. Hold back to block. People learning iframes. It's Street Fighter 2 Turbo. If you've never played it, especially the younger generation coming up, if you want a great basis on nearly every single fighting game concept and execution, play Street Fighter 2 Turbo. Jump on Fightcade or whatever of your choice. Get bodied by all of these killers out there. I can't speak highly enough of Street Fighter 2. Street Fighter 3 is probably the best technical fighting, like 2D fighting game ever. The parry system was phenomenal. It led to the greatest parry moment of all time with Daigo versus Justin Wong, the Ken versus Chun-Li, like full parry moment. Fighting games don't happen to where they are without Street Fighter. Every other FGC talk and just anything will always harp on Street Fighter. So you've heard it all. I'm not going to go in on it. Chip, if you have anything to add, but I think
about the Street Fighter.
Yeah, yeah.
Honestly, never got too into it.
Wow. Okay.
I don't know. Like,
we played MVC, so you played like the characters and stuff.
Yeah. Like, I don't know. I've played it. Like I said, like it was like never the thing that I committed to.
Yeah.
There's always way better street. Like again, like with the iframes and everything. Everywhere I went, there's like people who are just way better at Street Fighter than me. Kind of like you're saying, where it's like, oh, go on there and get like handed to you. It's like everybody I've ever played Street Fighter with, like, always beat me up. Like the most I've done in Street Fighter is like kind of beat the solo, done the story mode, like its story in the loosest sense possible. But like it's fun, man. Like I don't like definitely get on, play some matches and stuff. But
for sure,
I don't know. Like I didn't really like. I think going in from Mortal Kombat first to Street Fighter, had weird expectations all around. I think
it's different
everything. Yeah, it controls a lot tighter, a lot better. The executions are better. Like even in Mortal Kombat, even though
you came from MK1, so yeah, Street Fighter 2's execution's better.
Yeah, like it's just like it's so like clunky in MK1 to like Street Fighter, where it's like everything's smooth and you can like get off things, but like so can your competition. So I don't know. There was never like a tutorialized mode or anything like in those older games. So it's like you gotta kind of figure it out on your own, and that's fun. But for me, it was like now like, oh, this is the thing I'm gonna go around and like play with other people. It was like, oh, that's good.
Yeah. No, I get it. I get it. And you're right.
Hondas.
Street Fighter has the most killers per capita than any other fighter. I feel like you could just jump on. I was practicing Street Fighter 3 at work, and a dude walks, like, cause I had it on Switch and I'm playing in the break room, and this dude literally walks by me and goes, unhook the Joy-Con, let's play. I was like, what? he's like, I love Street Fighter, and he didn't realize how good I was at it, so he got his ass handed to him. But we played my entire lunch break. It's definitely worth it. So where do I want to go with this? I can't remember now. But
there's a lot of killers per capita. You can run down the block and run into Machine Gun Timmy, who's gonna gun you down real quick. Everywhere there's lurking. You got Jason with his knives out down the block. You got Ronnie doing drive-bys with his E-Honda moves, dude. Like you never know. Like everywhere. Like that's kind of like chess, where like I got to a level in it, and I was just like, I need to study this game if I want to get better, and like I don't have that passion to like start like figuring out that high levels. And like I was kind of lucky where I was like early on the internet, like in my elementary school they had it, so I was able to like look up stuff for Mortal Kombat 1 and stuff where like I could get like the move sets and like print it out and like run home and be like, all right, time to unlock these ancient ruins and figure this stuff out. For sure. Like, I had that stuff for Street Fighter. It was just like, I don't know, like in my adolescent brain, it was like hard to put things together. And also like, I don't know, we touched on this like in an early episode, like when all you have is older brothers, like you kind of have like a little bit of a fear of just like dunking on them. I remember I beat the brakes off my one brother in I want to say it was Killer Instinct. This is why I never got into Killer Instinct, I think.
Got it.
If you want to go like deep psychological, there's like, I think Killer Instinct on the Sega, if that's where it came out. Was that Sega?
It came out on Super Nintendo.
Yeah, Super Nintendo. Was all these games and shit bleed together. But you'll see why here to say. So I beat the brakes off them. Like we just got the game. I think it was a rental. And like I just like destroy them. Like I kind of was mashing buttons, but I figured out like the pattern of buttons to mash to like do kind of what I wanted. So I was like able to like, repeat and like do like the moves over and over again. I think I was like Glacier or something. And I was just like, I destroy him. And he had been played, because it's a rental. He's been playing nonstop. And he was just like, oh, you're a button smasher, you piece of shit. And just like backhands me. Like, shit, fuck Killer Instinct. It's bullshit.
You associate it with pain.
Yeah. So man, yeah.
So Killer Instinct, that's the thing. So
Killer Instinct, dude.
button mashing, people get so mad at, which that just means you're not good at the game if you're losing to button mashing. That's like at the end of the day.
They're skill level button mashers, I swear. I got that high level.
Right. So going to let's talk about fighting games. What just from that community, from the genre, what you can learn from it in game dev. I always look to fighting games for a few things: game feel, execution feel, and balance. So fighting games are just defined, and they're iterated on after. Like you release it, stuff's broken. They release a patch, and it gets better. People break it again. Like Street Fighter's a great example.
Be patched.
Yes.
Should we try and go back to the old Street Fighter 2 Turbo style?
No way.
Like have a perfect.
No way in hell. King of Fighters 11, I want to say. Whichever one was god awful. It was either 11 or 12. That was when they first had the newer art style. I have it behind me, but I'm not going to get up and grab it. I was super excited for the game. It had like a brand new art style. I'll put it up here. And the game came out, and it was broken as hell. The online was broken. The actual game, pretty much every character had moves that were just terrible. And Raiden in that game, or Raiden, was like a wrestler. He had a move where you could handcuff yourself to the character. So he'd grab you, spin you around, and slam you, and you would be stuck. You couldn't get out. You couldn't hit him, and you would just time out. And there was absolutely no like special execution for it. It was a normal move, and that never got fixed. There was other things that were just completely wrong about the game. Maybe it was KOF 12, because KOF 13 is the best one as far as that era. So yeah, yes, fighting games have to be patched. But I will say
it's been settled.
It's one of those things in game dev is if you don't listen to your community for fighting games, or something's broken and you don't react right away, your game is dead. So I think that us as right now hobbyist game developers, whenever we release something, we should definitely pay attention to the community, and this goes for everyone else like creating a game. Your job is not done when you release it.
My job's done. I'm like, this is it. It's over. You get what you get.
There's always something you missed. You know,
I'm still at the point where it's like I feel like we're almost like hobbyist level.
Yes.
It's like we're not really charging like real money for these things.
Yep.
I do listen to like the feedback and stuff, and I take those lessons learned, and I'm like, I'll apply it to the next thing. Because I don't think I've had like anything where I'm like, oh, this is going to be like a breakout thing that I can develop into a full idea. This is worth like putting like everything, like my best efforts into. It's like, oh, this is like a fun thing. This is the thing I wanted to play. Did I enjoy it? Yeah. Then all right, that's it. I got a thing that I enjoy. And I don't know, for lessons learned, I would say, you have to have, tight controls. It's like I think touched on a bit where it's like camera controls and character.
Yes.
You definitely need like good input, good control. I would say like if you get to a point where like community feedback's important, you should hire a community manager or get a community manager volunteer.
Yes.
Because like you don't want to directly interface with the plebs, the unwashed Smash Bros and Yu-Gi-Oh card players out there. You need like an in-between. Because they're like, why aren't you doing our ideas? And you're like, it's really hard to do. And if we did that, all the things like you can change things at a certain point, but it's like you're tweaking things on a spreadsheet for some stuff, and it's like
deep game systems later too.
Right? Like it's not noticeable. It's like a negligible thing, right?
Yeah. There's definitely things like don't take everything to heart and do whatever the fans say. It's at the end of the day, it's your game. But I think that it's really good for just it's learning how to iterate, and then like someone may find something game breaking that you missed. It's just kind of like not.
I would say, definitely like squash the big bugs that are like game breaking.
Yeah,
but also I would say look more for the symptoms of the problem that's coming up, and not because like people will say something's bugging them. But that's not the actual problem, and like you kind of got to go deeper. Yeah, and I would say you should develop that toolkit yourself when you're playing other games. When you run into something and you're like, "Oh, I don't like this," ask yourself like, why don't you like what like that interaction or like what happened, and then like try and like go deeper down and be like, how would I fix that so it doesn't happen again? So like I would say like get good at identifying symptoms and then looking for the underlying problems while you're playing other games.
There it is. Yeah.
Any type of game. Yeah.
Yep.
And that's like a great lesson you could take away from fighting games, especially because like there'll always be balancing issues, especially like with the always online future we're heading towards. And it'll be the faster you can identify and improve and like fix like those gaps, like the more enjoyment your community will have, like whatever game you're making.
For sure. It's great. So we're nearing the end here. So I promised a tier list of who is the best smelling community in the fighting games. And this is based on my experience at Combo Breaker 2019. The best, I'll start off top 3. And so let's just be clear.
Keeping it positive here.
Smash Brothers definitely had the worst smelling players. It's definitely not a thing of they all smelled bad. It's that the ones who did smell bad were Smash players, and they smelled terrible. I think also like anime fighters tended to attract people who just had
poverty-stricken anime gods out there.
Had a just aversion to bathing. But I will say top 3 best smelling players. Number 3, the SoulCalibur community. Actually, those guys they smell just fine. You know, nothing overly terrible. They smell just fine. Number 2. The what was it? I'm sorry, I had it in my head. The MK community was just fine. Like from the people because they were just fine. I was in the group. I was in I was competing there, so I was in like the giant mosh of people. No errant smells. It was fine.
No issues.
But the best smelling community, and it was the biggest community at this event, was Tekken. Those guys should be on an advertisement for body wash. I swear, they all smelled great. A lot of them like smelled better than great. You know, it's not like I'm like out here going, you know, but but you notice,
like the community has to like they have like a little bit more like stunting a little bit more.
Yeah, oh yeah,
more
for sure.
A little bit more with the theatrics where they come out like dressed proper. They come out looking good, smelling good, feeling great.
Yeah, man. Man.
And like they like to do a little bit of flares. Like after they win a match, they'll get up.
Yeah, they had super hype.
Stand a bit.
Yep.
There's a lot of prestige in that community. I feel like. Where they hold themselves to a higher standard because like the top players in there like. They'll come out, 3 gold chains and stuff, and they're like, "I'm out here. What's next?" Like,
yep. Yeah, dude. It was. Yeah. So, shout out to the Tekken community, you guys. And also, I played Tekken casually. Like, I definitely had a higher casual level than a lot of people, but they were super welcoming. They gave great pointers. They're funny. Even like the shit talk they did, it wasn't like malicious. You know what I mean? Like some of the fighting game shit talk it just gets so personal, and you're just like, oh, I never want to come here again. They would just like rag on like just random stuff, and it would be funny. It'd always be a good joke. After the match was over, you'd shake up and you'd be fine. Like, I absolutely love the Tekken community.
Can we take a moment to acknowledge though that the Tekken combos are just some of the most nonsensical like combos in the fighting community. It's like hit like opposite button. It's like you're playing DDR instead of like a fighting game, dude. Like like, oh, hit like these random like combo buttons to make like anything happen in Tekken. And you have to execute it perfectly. Like it's I don't know, like that game. Like I went back to Tekken 3 because I used to be really good at Tekken 3. Not great, but I would say really good. Where like I could like and like I played my other buddy, but I hadn't played in a while, and he's I think had just been playing recently, and I was like, oh yeah, let me play my old favorite guy, and like I roll up and I'm like, I don't remember how to play this game at all. Like I used to be able to like do these like really good combo, like when you get in that rhythm, that DDR, like I have like the game is designed to be played on an arcade stick.
Yes,
and so like if you're like with a controller, you're like, this doesn't make sense. But if like you could tap like this, I guess it would make all the sense in the world. But if you're a filthy casual like me on the outside of the Tekken 3 world.
Yeah.
You know, they're just like, why is these buttons laid out like this? Who thought this was a good idea? Yeah, sorry for that quick aside.
No, that works. No, man, that's great. So let's get to what we were playing lately. I'd like to start off if I can. So over the past week,
what have you been up to? What games?
Yeah, the past week I've been just going super hard on Neo 2. Neo 2, like I said last week, it's I think I said it last week. It's supplanting like Ninja Gaiden as my favorite Team Ninja title. It is so it controls so tight. The bosses all feel very fair, and the game has 70 hours of content, I guess, including the DLC. So I'm gonna be playing it for a while. It's like the action game fans plus Dark Souls. It is incredible, man. I can't speak highly of Neo 2 enough, but that's not what I wanted to talk about. There's a little game that hit early access, has been out for a while, but just really blew up this past week on Steam. That game is Valheim. I typically don't play survival games. I generally they just don't click with me. I get bored really easily, and I don't want to spend hours chopping wood or mining gold or whatever. It just usually doesn't work. My wife got into Valheim, so I'm playing it. My friend group is really, really heavily into Valheim to the point of purchasing a dedicated server. This is real stuff, dude. And I will say, I am enjoying the hell out of Valheim, actually. There's definitely a lot of survival flavor. One of the cool things is when you're knocking down trees, the tree actually gets knocked down. You can knock over other trees with it, or if you're underneath it, it'll kill you. Like, I haven't really seen that in other survival games. It's pretty, like, even like knocking down trees is hardcore. The best part though has been there's like in-game kind of missions that aren't really laid out, but you find like altars in the world. I did the first boss fight just last night. I killed 2 deer, put it on these altars, and summoned the deer god. This deer had like electric powers and was a giant ass deer with red glowing eyes, and it became a Dark Souls light boss fight. It was awesome. Yeah, it was awesome. And then you get like antlers and you can make a pickaxe and stuff. So that type of like combining boss fights into a survival game that's mostly PvE has breathed new life into the genre for me. So while my wife likes like building a base and has a goal and things, I want to just kill the next thing, you know? Yeah. So there's definitely something for both of us there. And like the game supports 10 people in a world. So like it's a giant like group of friends, like there's a big community that one of us has like it's like a trader right now. So she's grabbing everything and then like we'll barter it. So it's given a lot of emergent gameplay, and it includes people that I don't typically like. We don't play the same type of game, so like it's expanded my like perception of like there's something for everyone. Yeah. So it's been fun. There's definitely times where I've gotten bored and wanted to play something where I can kill something really quick, but you know. That's just me in the games I like to play. What I've been doing is just like taking a break and playing like Tetris 99 on Switch. That's the other game I've been playing. It's just something fast paced and just I can get like an instant gratification for, and just go back to Valheim. So I gotta say, as far as survival games go, like I said with Rust, which I believe you'll talk about with spoilers. I didn't like the all PvE all the time thing. It's just like it ruined like just the base building for me, and I thought the combat was clunky. But the PvE of Valheim, the general world that it built, and the boss fights that you're discovering really breathe new life into that genre, and I'm enjoying it. I'll give it to you, Chip.
Yeah, I've been playing a ton of Rust. Like we just got it. We've been getting into it. I had a ton of fun with it. Like you're saying, like the guns in that game control like no other guns in any other game ever.
Yeah,
they're like their own thing. Like I don't know. We were basically in the Stone Age. We've basically upgraded to like the Metal Age now, so we have some guns. And my one buddy, we set off like a satchel charge, which is like to raid another base, so we're trying to raid a base. And when you blow up something in that game, like everybody comes out of the woodwork to like that area. So we blew up like one door, and like we're running back with like the little bit of loot we got. You know, it's nothing crazy, but we're like, oh, let's raid them. They're kind of jerks to us. Whatever. You don't need an excuse in that game. You're just like, I don't know, we're gonna do what we're gonna do.
Yeah.
So we blow up. We got like basically we're running back to our base. We get gunned down by like these gamer chads, and like all of a sudden, like we killed one of them. I got like 2 attacks. I killed like another guy. I injured the third guy in their group.
Yeah.
We had 3 and they had 3. So they won the overall exchange. But that guy was so injured. I was like, oh, he's gonna be dead. He's gonna bleed out. Or if anybody else shows up, because like there's gonna be more people. So like we all respawn because it's right by our main base, and like all these zergs of naked people are like running in to like try and see what's going on and like steal some loot. And like our one buddy like goes up to the tower with our new gun, and he's like trying to shoot, and like, it takes him about like 20 minutes, and he's like, I can't hit anything. Boom, boom, boom. He's like, I got my shot now. He's just like just headshot after headshot because he finally like tuned it, but it takes 20 minutes of actual combat to like figure out how like the basic rifle works in that game. So yeah, that game sucks, man. It's great.
I think
I'd say like I'm almost done with it. Like it's like last night, I messed up because I ventured to the north where there's like a bunch of sulfur mines, but because there's nothing going on and we're watching the UFC, and I was like, oh, I'll just do some crafting while I'm watching the show, because there's always something. That game's basically a mobile game. There's always something to do in there. If you look for it. But I went to the Great North to like do some mining because I was like, oh, this is kind of mindless. It'll be fun. And as I'm going through the north, like I thought our base was pretty good. Like we got like 3 to 5 people at any given time playing pretty regularly. And we have like a decent size base for that. It's pretty big because we're by a bunch of like solo and dual players. But in the Great North, man, there's like 15, 20 man clans. And it's just like these monstrosities, and I'm just like, I don't want to play Rust anymore, man. Like we're never going to be able to compete with that level. Like even if we all got our best shots and like we'd have to be running like 4 like KDA, like 4 to 1. Like we'd have to kill 4 people that are 1 death to like be competitive in any fights. And like at our current level, I don't see that happening. It's possible, but again, the people who play Rust play a lot of Rust, so it's like I don't see it happening, man. So kind of disheartened me to the whole gaming experience of Rust, where I'm like, I don't know if I even want to play this anymore.
I assume next week when we talk, it'll be a different story though, because I feel these types of games have like you said, you have a giant story that could have been a movie that just happened to you. There's like a lot of emergent stuff that happens where I think
like we're in this scenario. My buddy, like I was trying to teach him about like naked gaming in there, because like you can start off with like a rock and like snowball into like some really good equipment. And I was like, oh, let's go do a quick naked run real quick. And he's like, what are you talking about? I was like, come on, bro, I'm going to teach you about like the snowball. And he's like, all right. And so like you start with like a rock, and like I'm hitting against the tree. I get enough wood to build a spear, like a wooden spear. So I make 2 wooden spears. I toss him a wooden spear, and I have one. And I'm like, all right, man, let's go down to this harbor area. We're going to check out this area. And like all of a sudden, like, we see a guy like running by with like a machine gun. And I was like, oh, there's a guy right there. And he's like, where? I was like, down there. And I was like, come on, let's try and get it on this guy. So like we start like chasing him, and this guy's just running. So he must have like a bunch of stuff on him, and he's like just trying to get back to his base. And like my buddy like hits him once with the spear, and like he just keeps running. And like we're both like chasing, and like I come around for the flank. My buddy like hits him again one more time, so he's probably close to death. The guy turns around with his machine gun, guns down my buddy. All suddenly, out of nowhere, another dude like runs out with a bow. He also starts getting gunned down. I'm on the flank, so I just like poke this guy once with the spear. He gets dropped. The guy with all that, the machine gun and all the kit is gone. But like I pick up my buddy. We loot this guy who like had, you know, like bow and like all this other like armor and stuff. So we get all of his gear, and like we just start running back. And I was like, that's it, baby. That's the snowball I'm talking about. It's like we start with just like a rock and ended up with like a full like bow kit, like leather armor, like all this awesome. like 400 like metal like fragments. Like that's the come up. And I was like, that's the snowball. That's how you do it.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So there's like constantly like those little story moments like emerging, which is fun. But I don't like the people who play a lot of Rust. I think there's a lot of cheaters in the game. I can't prove it, but like it's kind of known in the community, like where it's like there's like the big one, I think it's called like ESP or something, where you can see through walls or whatever. And like so I'll be like down in the middle like mining, and then I'll be coming back and like a guy will kill me, and like I'll spawn somewhere else, and like he'll like immediately come to the area I'm already at. And like I'm like, how did he know I was here? It's like I clearly knows some stuff, you know, like there's some shenanigans going on here. Like I can't prove it, but I can't it's a little bit too big of a coincidence on some things that happen. But I think that's a lot of online games, but it's still fun, still enjoying it.
True.
Yeah, man.
I know we had a list of things we wanted to talk about next, but you said something in your story that really brought a huge conversation topic for me, and I think we both have some experience with this genre. RTSs, you mentioned like Zerglings and a Zerg Rush there. I think that could be maybe next week, maybe in the future. RTS, yeah, because it's a genre that's definitely pretty much died. It has like one game representing it of StarCraft 2, and it's kind of on the come up again. So we'll see. It
feels like a lot of people are trying right now to recapture the magic.
Yep.
I don't know if you can. Like, I feel like I don't know. I guess we could save it or whatever. But I feel like it's hard to recapture again with like skill ceilings.
Yep.
I feel like RTSs have like such a massive skill ceiling that it dissuades any like filthy casuals from playing.
I have an idea, and I'll save it. I have an idea.
That's a teaser. That's what
it's a teaser for next time.
A little spice in that gumbo to tease it out.
What industry is this? The food industry?
A little extra. I'm hungry. I'm gonna go have lunch.
For sure. God damn it! Now I want gumbo. Sounds good. All right. For Chipped Monk, I'm Mr. Gimpy. This has been the Combo Wombo. We are available on YouTube and all of your favorite podcast devices.
Corner, the arcade.
The arcade. You'll find us on them sticks.
Pick up them sticks. Bring your quarters.
There it is.
Get your tokens.
There it is.
Find us at a local Chuck E. Cheese beating kids.
They don't have fighting games at Chuck E. Cheese anymore. It's so dumb. Dumb. They don't have fighters at Chuck E. Cheese anymore. It's like all ticket games. It's the dumbest thing. I went to a birthday party for my niece, and she's like,
and you're like, oh, I bet there's something here I could do. And you're like,
I was like, yep.
Do they at least have the bar?
No, there's no bar. There's no bar.
What kind of sober world are we living in?
I don't know. Maybe I went there because I went there on like a Sunday. Maybe there was a bar. I just didn't see it. But yeah,
I don't know. I feel like this is the thing. Like as you get older, if you're not like an alcoholic and you don't have like a drinking problem.
Yeah. You don't know where the bars are.
All of your drinking buddies like kind of like stop drinking. But like where you're like, oh, I could still just drink. Like I'll be at a kid's party and like have a couple of beers. Like I don't have a problem. But you know, I'm an adult, so I need like some liquid courage to enjoy
the kid stuff going around.
Well, just being able to like talk to people and listen to them about their kids, because I don't have any kids or anything. Where it's usually like a family member or a really good friend where I'm like, oh, let me spend time and I want to catch up and I want to listen to a bunch of stuff. And like, you know, alcohol makes that more enjoyable for me.
For sure.
If I'm at a casino or, you know, at a, you know, kids arcade, which is basically a casino, or they actually have like adult arcades also, where it's like just for adults.
The bars.
They don't have a lot of fighting games either, dude. There's usually like one or two like sad, broken arcades cabinets out there.
Yeah. They exist. Like I think one of them in the downtown area here had Mortal Kombat 2 and 3 that I saw, and there was definitely a Street Fighter Alpha machine. So, but
there's
I think
a mythological arcade somewhere.
With the game you want to play. Yeah. Oh shit! All right, bro. Well, for all of us at Combo Wombo, we'll see you next week.
Keep looking for that mythical arcade out there.